Welcome to another episode of the Level Up Your Gym podcast. I'm your host, Joe Hashey, where we're again going to talk today about how to attract members, develop yourself, and build your team. We believe that most gym owners do an amazing job with the training and they just need a little bit more support on the business side. We're going to do that with you today. We're going to talk about using your resources wisely. I'm going to give you 3 strategies and power questions you need to ask on a regular basis. And I'm going to remind you that at levelupyourgym.com, we have our free resources for you, which is a daily gym business masterclass type video delivered right to your inbox every day for free. You can grab that at levelupyourgym.com. So today's episode is dedicated to my friend Vince. Vince owns a gym down in New Jersey and has done some business consulting and has done an excellent job at it. I look up to him as a business mentor, a friend, a father, and I'm going to dedicate this episode and deliver for you in the same way that he has for me. And that's why I like to dedicate these episodes to people. So if you've been listening since the intro, you may know a little bit about my background as being a high school teacher when I started this gym in my basement called Synergy, and we ended up growing it to 3 locations in a big company over 10, 12 years. I learned a lot of lessons, but what you might not have known was what I taught in high school. And that was economics. And we would spend a lot of time on resources and allocating resources and scarcity and figuring all that nerd stuff out that I'm going to simplify for you today with saying that we're going to take our resources and we're going to use them in a smart way. There's a lot of ways we can do this as business owners. And the first way is doing some evaluation by asking these 3 questions. First is a question you should ask yourself, and you should ask, if you're fortunate enough to have a staff, you should ask them, have them ask themselves, what's the number one thing that I should be doing? What's most important? Your staff needs clarity, but so do you. For example, as a gym owner that when you start out, you wear a lot of hats. Should I be focusing on marketing right now? Should I be focusing on onboarding? Should I be focusing on the service that we're delivering? Our website, our Facebook page, our social media? What do I need to focus on? What's number one right now? In a time like the pandemic that we went through, you really need to be hyper-focused on doing what's most important. You're going to want to pick the lowest hanging fruit first instead of reaching up towards those shiny objects or the small fruit at the top and start chasing them around. There's the old saying that if you chase too many rabbits, you'll catch none. How you figure that out is by asking yourself that question. What's the number one thing I should be doing right now? Ask it to your staff. You'll be interested to find out that some of their answers will be different than what you want them to be. And then you can have that conversation and get out in front of it. Number 2, is there a simpler way to do this? During the pandemic, we all get shut down and we race to online training. I was working with a consultant client, a very sharp business owner, but she was a little bit of a deer in the headlights when it came to the pandemic and wanted to come up with something to rival a lot of the virtual training options online. And 2.5 months later, they were about ready to ship the product and get the members on, and gyms were already reopening. You kind of missed the boat. They went too complex, and they weren't able to meet people where they're at, which is, hey, we need something. We have a lot of goodwill for our physical brick and mortar gym. We want to stay with you. But you got to give us a reason to, or else they're going to go running off online. And honestly, if you make something that's so complex for virtual training, we're really not going to compete with the big names that only focus on that. We're not going to compete with the Beachbodies and those types of products that are $19.95. You won't be able to make it on those margins as a brick and mortar gym owner. So you really needed to focus on simplicity, speed, and leverage the goodwill that you had to be able to do it. For example, we were closed on, I believe, a Thursday. By Saturday, we had our online training programs up. We had nothing on Thursday. We had no outline, no plan. And on Saturday, we launched. We went with as simple as we can do. We call it the MVP, Minimal Viable Product, which was a Facebook Live and our private members page. We said at 9 a.m. we're going to start doing some follow-along workouts. If you can't join us at 9 a.m., no problem. We're going to put the recording up. We quickly learned that not everyone was on Facebook, so we also did it on YouTube. We provide and email them the YouTube link, and that got us started. We just needed something simple to keep us in the game. Then we moved to some more online personal training to kind of run the clock till we were able to reopen. But if you don't do things in a simple way, you're going to sacrifice the time factor, and some things you need to just ship. It was Steve Jobs' thing, real artists ship. You don't just design things and leave them on the shelf. And I know that actually came from an artist, and he was quoting him, but I'm not going to show my ignorance and guess which artist. I believe he attributed it to Picasso. I don't know if that's actually the artist or not. But real artistship, you got to think of simple ways to do things and get them out to your members ASAP. Number 3, the question you need to ask, and I like to think that even though it's my number 3 on the list, this one's the most important that we ask our staff most often. What am I doing now that I can stop doing? If you want to get some resources back, stop spending them. So we looked at our onboarding, we looked at our phone calls, our texts, we looked at what was taking up trainers' time and said, what do you guys think? What can we stop doing? And people love to cut things. They'll let you know if it's not working. We had to do this very quick, and we got this hyper-focused case study to do it during the pandemic, where we were doing Facebook Lives, we were doing Zooms, we were doing online personal training. Soon we were able to do outdoor workouts, and then we were able to do it indoors, but not everyone was comfortable to come back. So we had to have enough resources with less money to be able to service people virtually and in the facility. And the easiest way to do it is find out what the least number of people want and stop doing those things. For us, it was Zoom. Not enough people were attending the Zooms with their cameras on to make it worth it. They were just the same as our Facebook Lives. So we were able to pull the plug on the Zoom, have that employee do a Facebook Live during that time instead. And once we didn't need the Facebook Live, we quickly asked the question, what can we stop doing? And the answer was the second Facebook Live, and we were able to put them in the facility so they could give tours and give guidance on the new safety procedures and guidelines. And we didn't need to do that forever. We just needed to do that at the beginning. And once they were identified, hey, we can stop doing this, we were able to shift that resource to something else. Your ability to manage your limited resources are going to be a direct indicator of how successful you will be in business. Limit your waste, and you're going to be able to grow your company and focus on what's really important. Use these 3 power questions. I have a note on my phone. We ask this third one every single month at one of our leadership meetings. So again, the questions are, what's the most important thing to do? How can we do it simply? What can I stop doing? Give yourself some true, honest, fair analysis on those. You can ask your members, you can ask your staff, you can ask a significant other that knows you. What are the answers to those questions? And you'll be able to grow a much more powerful company in a very fast way.